Okay, we are currently just going live, so this is fantastic. I'm just going to let people start coming into the chat. It'll take a few minutes because there's always a lag between hitting the live button on YouTube and people actually starting to watch. So
Gotcha.
I always like to go. So give it a couple of minutes. There's some people coming in. Hey guys, say hello in the chat box. Say hello to Nate. You guys are in Profit Search Trader. Say hello to Nate. I don't know if Nate can read them.
Everybody?
I can. I'm watching the chat stream at the moment, but say hello to Nate. This is Nate Bear. So for you guys, hey, Mr. God Atom. He says, hi, everyone. Nate, every so often I'll put up a question.
Yep.
Hey, Sanjay. Hey, Ken Lumley. So I'll put things up here, Nate. You can see them here if you're not already actively
Hey,
watching.
Ken. Yeah.
So I'll put them up on the screen when people say things if they're particularly pertinent. I'm just putting up a few here just to sort of get things going. Brandon says, hello, Nate. Just joined yesterday, so I'm guessing you joined Profit Search Trader. Tom is saying, hey. Dana's saying, hey.
Yeah,
Lots of people saying, hey.
Yeah.
Loads of people. So lots of people saying, hey, nice to meet the legend. He's the one and only legend. And Nate Bear is,
you guys are too kind.
I'm honored to have you on this channel, Nate. I'm really excited. I've followed you for years, and you're one of the few people that I have ever met, and I've met a lot of people in this industry who have taken a smallish amount of money, and small's relative, right? So 37,000. 37,000 is a lot of money to some people. It was to me a few years ago. But it's not a lot of money when you compare it to $2.7 million, which is what happened, over the course of the next 4 years of you trading. Mm-hmm. So I'm really excited to talk to you today, to get some advice from you. And there's so many things we have to cover, and I hope we can do it in an hour. And I know that the FOMC just happened and that you're probably having to monitor your trading account like mad, like a lot of people are.
Yes.
So I really appreciate this opportunity. I really do.
Of course.
I really do. So lots of people commenting, lots of people here. So one of the key questions I have for you today, Nate, and this is going to be basically, how on earth did you manage to go from $37,000 to $2.7 million trading in such a short period of time, which is 4 years, but that's a short period of time.
Yeah.
And is there a few key nuggets right from the start, and we'll go into more detail as this webinar goes on, that you can show that this is what I did differently compared to the majority of traders who lose money or only make a small amount of money? That'd be an awesome question to start with.
I think that's a great question. First of all, again, thanks for having me. Hey, everybody. Glad to see so many of you here. I know a lot of these names and a lot of them are new, so good to meet everybody. Actually, let me, I can't even mute that. If you hear that bell, that's just my system telling me something's happening in the market. But and there's a lot happening right now.
Please take the trade or take it off of it. Don't let me let you.
Yeah, no, we're good. I lightened up a lot a few minutes ago, but so a great question. And the thing about it is people ask me that question kind of all the time. And the most honest answer that I can give you is that it wasn't like one thing. I'd love to be able to say, hey, if you just do this, everything will turn around for you. It's not quite that simple. It's in my opinion, it was narrowing my focus. When I first started trading, I didn't know what type of a trader I was. I actually first started trading, like very small stocks, like penny stocks. And I found that I just wasn't my thing. And then once I kind of found options, that's when things started to sort of click for me. And I've really developed and devoted a lot of time and a lot of energy to learning options, learning how to trade options, figuring out different option strategies. But I would say the biggest thing, if I had to give anybody a piece of advice, it would be to narrow your focus. Don't try to do everything that you see everybody else doing, because what you see almost universally is when you follow somebody or you join a service or you're reading a book or reading an article, that person typically specializes in like one, maybe two things. They do one or two things really, really well, and the rest of it is just noise. I know traders that they don't do anything except sell put spreads. That's it. That they don't buy calls, they don't buy stock, they don't do anything else. They just sell put spreads, and it works for them. Some traders that they only trade stocks under $1. Like, I'm trading Amazon, and the guy's like, no, who cares? I've got this little stock that's going to move up 10% because of XYZ. I'm going to get in and I'm going to get out. So it's different for everybody, but my advice would be just to narrow your focus and don't try and catch everything. Just try and focus on small incremental improvements every single day.
Yeah, and it's fantastic. And how long did it take you to settle on your TPS system? Because that seems to be where you really started to go nuclear. Like, how long was that into your trading career, roughly?
So I would say it took me, about 8 years to become an overnight success. It took me a long time. I followed a lot of different people. I went through a lot of different strategies, and like you said, once I sort of found, there's a guy named John Carter who I'm sure that the majority of people in here have heard.
Yeah.
I can remember I got his book, and I was at my kids' soccer practice, and I'm just going through this book, and it's like, wow, like what this man is saying is really, really resonating with me. And then I just sort of took what I learned from him and said, okay, I'm going to take this strategy, and I'm going to just sort of push it all into this one little bubble, which is the TPS. I'm going to focus primarily on that setup over and over and over and over again. And that's what I've done.
Yeah. And so like you started off basically, I think you said you were a construction worker, and you became more and more like frustrated with not maybe like the time you could spend with your family, and slowly transitioned, right? So
yes,
that's kind of like the progress that you made.
Absolutely.
Away.
So I worked in construction, and I did, I was a project manager, but we would remodel like Home Depots or Walmarts or McDonald's. And because these businesses are all open during the day, the work would happen at night. So here I am having to manage superintendents and materials and, all these different things, but it's at night. And then during the day when I'm supposed to be catching up on sleep, that's tough when you have a family, right? So eventually I kind of got out of that, sort of started my own little business. And then it was tough, because now I'm working, 10, 12-hour days trying to make a business grow. And eventually I started trading stocks, like 10% trading and 90% of my time was focused on my business. And eventually that started to sort of shift, and I'm spending 90% of my time trading stocks and only 10% of my business. And eventually it was 100%. So, but it was a pretty long transition.
So we're getting so many questions, it's ridiculous, and we will try to get to as many of them as possible. I'm just trying to get an introduction to Nate for people that don't know who he is. A lot of people do, but there's a lot of people who are new to the channel who will be watching this in the future. One thing I wanted to point out is that I'm a member of Profit Surge Trader, and the thing is that with Profit Surge Trader, it's a one trade a week. Which is fantastic for me. In fact, it turns out to be more like 2 or 3 trades a week, because there's bonus trades, which I had no idea and I've been really excited by. But before we go any further, I want to make it 100% crystal clear that if I post any links in the chat or in the description or links below, I am an affiliate for Nate's service. So I will get a commission for anything that you guys buy through those links. Just so you know, full transparency, full compliancy, that I only choose people that are legitimate, that I've vetted thoroughly. I've seen the tax returns. I think that it's the tax returns that you've shown the legal team at your company and things. And I know that what Nate is saying in terms of his ability to trade is true to my knowledge as possible. So, so I'm 100%, sure that trading with Nate is a good idea. But I want to make it crystal clear to people who don't realize, and most people do, that I do these in terms of supporting the channel. It's instead of sponsorships, I'll often do affiliate type relationships, and that's what I have here today with Nate going forward. So if I post any links to Profit Surge Trader, which is a fantastic service, amazingly priced, they just dropped the price by like $100, so it's like $179 for a year, which is insane given the value. That I will get a small commission for any purchases made through that link. So I just want to make that completely clear before we go forward. So yeah. All right, so let's see what we have here. Brandon says, I'm good with that, Russell, and I appreciate your due diligence. Yeah, and so I do as much due diligence as possible. Sometimes I get it wrong. Sometimes I promote something that might not be quite as good as it could be. With Nate, I've known Nate's work at least for several years, and I've known several people that have really vouched for Nate. and talking to him and taking his trades, I know he's the real deal. So I have no qualms promoting Nate at full velocity. So yeah. All right. So where do we want to go from here, guys? So we're only 10 minutes in. We have a ton of questions. I want to make sure you guys have had an introduction to Nate, which you have. You know his background. You know he turned 37,000 into 2.7 million in 4 years. That is absolutely incredible. Let's start looking at some of the questions. Let's look at what else we could possibly ask about. So we can't go into too many details in terms of active trades. So for example, if you're in one of the profit surge trades, we can't really talk too much about that, but we can go into similar charts and talk about the strategy a little bit as well. So Nate and I had a conversation about this before the live stream started, and we wanted to make sure that we were on the same page. So let's just start taking questions, because I honestly think it's the best way to do this. So these lives are the best thing. You could do a VSL like you've done before, but nobody really gets to ask questions, right? So here's a first question for you, Nate. Norman's asking, how does Nate determine stop losses? Does he notify on stops? So
yes.
That's a good question.
Great question. Great question, Norman. So typically what we do in Profit Surge Trader is I'm trying to think how I wish I could just show you, but I don't know if I can actually do that legally, like show you a previous trade. But what we do anyway is we look at a chart, we find a chart, and all of the setups are technical. So I will go on the chart, I will draw out my plan. I'll draw what the pattern is. I'll show you what I'm looking at. And then I'll make notations on the chart, and I'll say, this is where the entry is. My stop is a close below XYZ level, and my profit target is at this level. And then you can actually, what I do is I load that into the room so that going forward, it's there for reference. And that information is on the chart that I then publish. So it's not so much like I'm buying the option at $3 and my stop on the option is $2, but rather I'm buying this chart at, say, $195, when price is $195, and my stop is a close below, say, $190 or something along those lines.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. One thing we could do is I could pull up what the basis of the Profit Surge Trader system is and just pick a random earnings winner, and we can talk about that. One that you've probably not even traded. There's nothing that we could, do that. So let me just do you have one off the top of your head, like Netflix or something, or like
Netflix would be great. Sure. I mean, because they just beat earnings. Yeah. And I haven't done anything with Netflix and Profit Surge Trader. So I think that'd be just fine.
All right, let me just pull up that, because there's some people that'll be listening here. There's a very big mixture of people. Some people will have been part of Profit Surge Trader. Some people will have no clue what we're talking about. So
all right, if Netflix, you want, you can actually show, I don't know if you have access to it, but you can go in and I'm being told you can show like a previous example of an entry from one of our past trades. If you wanted to show that, just to show, hey, this is
I assumed I'd be able to, so I did log into the command center and I looked. I could scroll up and pick click and just looking at what about. Let's see. SMCI wasn't a typical trade. It was a huge winner, but it wasn't particularly. What about PDD?
You can do that. You can go to Burl, because I know people are in that. If people are having questions, like that's a great example. That information that they're looking for is already available to them. It's on the chart. It's right there. So if you want to show them that,
I can just pull up Burl on TradingView and then we can.
You can do that one. You can show them. You can show them AAP as an example of the stop loss information being. It's right there. It's in the alert. So just so people know, AAP is a good one. If you scroll up to, it was January 17th. That's one we took.
Okay. I'm just looking up now. January 17th.
Sure.
MSFT, PDT. Missing AAP.
AAP was on. We bought that one on January 17th at 12:07.
Oh yeah, I see it. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. It'll show the Yeah, so I can show the image with the woodpecker pattern or whatever is on there and everything.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. All right, let me just figure out how to do that, and then we can go from there. So, share screen. And this is how kosher these guys are, by the way. The people listening, they want to make sure that you're being shown legitimate things that are,
Yeah.
they're not like nonsense or whatever. So
yeah, that's perfect. Right
that? Is that close enough? I can maybe
I can see it.
You can see it. Can you guys see it or watching?
So this is an example, gang, of what the alert looks like. Like you get the actual, entry, and this is a closed trade. So don't think this is something that's current. This is something we did earlier this year. But this is an example of what you get with the alert. So I'll post my entry and I'll say, hey, bought AAP calls at this price, this strike, this, everything you need to enter the trade. And then you also get that picture. And this is like, for history's sake, this is what it looked like when we took the trade. And you can see on the bottom, there's a little note there. These are my thoughts. And then you can see the trade plan. Here's my entry, stop on a close below this level and target, at whatever the target ends up being. But that's where you can kind of see everything about that trade, the whole plan, the details, everything is right there for you up front.
Very cool, yeah. And so people were asking about the TTM squeeze as well. So you can see the squeeze down the bottom there. And so, if the squeeze is not rocket science. It's interesting and it's good by itself. I'm not a huge fan. I don't think many people by itself would say it's the only indicator that you need. But it's these like colored dots, and then you have momentum indicated by the light blue, and the dark blue indicates decreasing momentum. And so the TTM squeeze is something you can research by yourselves. It's available on TradingView, right? Like you can just add different squeezes. I'm not an expert in the TTM squeeze, so I'm not sure if you use a particular one or like if there's different variations of it from John Carter's original, stuff. And he didn't invent it, right? He just kind of popularized it. He didn't come up with it.
And there are several different scripts that are free that mimic exactly. I bought the indicator from him a decade ago, so that's just what I use because I paid for it. But there are free versions of it available on TradingView. Absolutely.
Right. And so the key to your success, in my opinion, is the TPS system combined with this profit surge after earnings. And the profit surge after earnings itself is a really interesting phenomenon. Like, partly it's intuitive, right? You think if a company says, hey, we've done better than we expected, you get this gap up, which is what you see if I pull up one of these other things. You see these gap ups. And so you see a gap up in the stock price, but then what's not intuitive is that you often for days, weeks, or even months afterwards, you see this continual just grind upwards. I'll see if I can pull one up on one of my reviews here.
Cool.
Let's see. Might not have one. I have a few things that are interesting to people. There's so many questions and it's coming hard to keep up with.
I'll try to answer a couple of them. So Turnkey Trading says, does he have any trading for the squeeze? Yes. So within the site, there are tutorials. There are videos of different topics. And one of them, of course, is the squeeze and how to trade the TPS method. So absolutely. But that's one of a number of different tutorials that are available.
Okay, so here's just an example of Netflix. So you see this gap up on a surprise earning on Netflix. And then you just have this general trend upwards. And it can last for a long time.
Actually, scroll back, Russell. Look at their last earnings.
This is where Nate's actually...
Yeah, just zoom out a little and you can actually see the exact thing we're talking about last quarter for Netflix. If you go to like a daily chart, see that gap higher there on Netflix?
How far back? Like,
no, right there.
This one right here?
Last quarter. Bingo, yeah. Look at that big gap up, and then they just...
Right here, yeah. Look at that thing, yeah. Right, so then it did it again.
And now it's doing it again. That's right.
So earnings right here. Yeah. double earnings profit.
That's exactly right.
So Yeah, and then so the key here so with Profit Surge Trader is you're trading the same basic the same. Oh wait, can you guys see this paper right here? This is legitimate academic research which I've looked into, but it can be really dry. Can you see this review of post earnings announcement drift stuff up on the screen?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, we can see it.
Can you see now? Yeah. So you can Google these types of papers, and in fact, in some of the links I've been posting, you can go and they're in here, and you can go through and you can see like they're really not sure why. Like it's not clear cut. Like it sounds clear cut. Oh, they had good earnings. Let's keep buying and buying and buying. But it's not always the case. Sometimes they'll have good earnings and then they'll tank. So it's an interesting concept. I think it's the combination of what you do with this phenomenon that makes this service and your trading so successful. So
yeah. And I think the best way that I know how to explain it is it's not so much the report. It's not, hey, we beat the top end and the bottom end. We beat on the estimate. We beat. It's the reaction. It's what does the market actually think about it? Because Microsoft just beat earnings and they're down today, right? So sometimes it's less about what's printed and more about how the market reacts. And I think that is the key thing that takes some judgment.
Yeah, definitely. And so I've been a member for 6 weeks or so now, and I haven't seen a losing trade until today. We're a little bit negative on one of the trades, but I'm not worried. I've looked at the chart enough. I'm pretty confident that I can average in and salvage the trade. So far my experience with you has been fantastic. So I encourage anybody who's interested in this style of trading, learning from somebody who's done what most people could only dream of doing, is to join the Profit Surge Trader as soon as possible, because what's actually happened is the team at Profit Surge Trader have actually reduced the price dramatically over the last week or two. I think it just dropped. And so I don't know how long those guys are going to hold it there. But if you check the link that I'm posting now, it's my referral link. It's the lowest cost that you'll find it at. So it's posted in the chat right here. Profit Surge Trader right here. Just go to this order form. I don't tend to send people to VSLs particularly, although you might find the VSL I posted earlier useful, just because probably goes into more detail with properly constructed like questions for Nate, whereas this is just kind of a free-for-all, ask whatever you want kind of thing, which Nate and I both enjoy doing.
Yeah.
But yeah. So so where are we at? Do we have any more questions? I see lots of questions. I'm not sure how many you've answered because I was doing stuff with things.
So one question I see is stock or options. For me, it's all options, period. All options. You can make the same trades with the concepts with stock, but I use options. I love options. They are scary to some people if you've never traded them before, but they are very simply a way to participate in these companies. Like Microsoft's a $400 stock, right? NVIDIA is a $600 stock. Well, we can trade options on these companies without having to shell out big bucks to buy the stock. So for me, in all of my services, it's all options.
Yeah, and that can scare people because small moves, if you look at like one of the recent trades that we're currently in Profit Surge Trader, it's not moving much, but the options are moving quite a bit and people are getting a little bit nervous. But we have plenty of time. And if you look at the daily chart, if you zoom out, pattern is still intact. And, it takes a little bit more of a stronger stomach sometimes. But that's how you make $37,000 to $2.7 million. You've got to be able to cope with that type of feeling, that type of thing. And I'm not saying you shouldn't have stop losses. Me personally, for me, I'm going to stop at 50% loss if my position is too large. So I base it on my position size. If I'm in large on this recent trade, I'll stop at 50%. I'm not going to lose, a buttload on it. But if I'm in small, I'll hold it and hold it through the storm or weather the storm, and often you come out profitable.
That's
and
right.
Sometimes
and just to speak in generalities about a recent trade, again, if you're already in Profit Surge and you have questions about it, I'll send an update out tomorrow. I'm not going to have time to do it today, but I'll send an update out tomorrow with my plan. But again, the trade plan is on the image. If you want to go back and reference that, you can see. And I don't want to talk specifically about an open trade, but if you're already a member, the trade plan you already have the trade plan. But again, I will send an update out tomorrow morning. Okay, does that sound good for everyone?
That's great.
We're in a very volatile week here. Huge earnings, FOMC.
Yeah.
This is a very volatile week, so you got to kind of just give the thing some room to breathe, right?
Yeah, I completely agree, and that's something that's definitely worth pointing out. Is when you're in volatile weeks, you've got to give that a little bit of extra. And we are coming up to one of the best times of your trading, period, which is earnings season. So
yeah, absolutely.
So now is
I'm juiced. I'm jacked. I'm ready.
now is the best time to come here. I'm just posting my referral link where I will get a small commission if you purchase it. If you go and join, and hundreds have been doing it, then if you go and join and join the system now, you're probably going to set yourself up for some success, in my opinion, because the way that the system works, the way that we need these earning gap ups. Like, oh, by the way, Nate, I have a question. So what if we gap down? Do you ever, I know you don't like to bet against individual stocks. You don't really do puts and things, but do you ever, I haven't seen it yet. Do you ever do negative, horrible, bad surprise earning gap down PST?
Yeah. It's a profit dump trade, right? No, it's a great question. And what I have found is that it actually doesn't work the same way on the downside. A lot of times you can have a sort of a negative reaction, but like, let's say Microsoft has a negative reaction after earnings. Well, most of the time people look at that opportunity. It's like, wow, that's a buying opportunity. If it's a good company that misses earnings, because it's a temporary move down and probably they're going to move up over time. But when you have the opposite action happen and you have a surprise move to the upside, then people are sort of scrambling and saying, wow, this is something that I didn't expect. And 6 months from now, this could be much higher. So I need to start positioning now and start getting into this trade now. Because in 6 months, based on what they just did this last quarter, they could be up 10, 20, 30%, even from this already extended level. But I haven't found the same thing to necessarily be true on the downside, interestingly enough, because you would think it should work in both directions, but it's not what I've found.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, that's interesting. So very quick statistics on the Profit Surge Trader the service. So the cool thing about Nate's company, and I'm sure some of them are listening, is they're very thorough and they're very compliant with all the laws and the legal things and everything. And so when we state numbers, these are fully vetted by a legal team, which is awesome because that is not always the case, right? Like, people are throwing out numbers where they just go, I made 1,000% last week or whatever. So it's one of the things that makes me want to promote you guys a lot is the diligence involved with making sure that these numbers are right. So in the chat right now, I'm posting what is the up-to-date numbers that is being supplied to me, which is an 85% win rate, 87% total return, which is nearly 10 times the S&P 500 performance since August last year. I'm sure Nate agrees with that, I hope.
Yeah,
but that's the numbers I've been given. And I think that's phenomenal for a buy-side service. So I don't know, I haven't told you much about my own trading, but I tend to sell options for premium, which is a lot of a slower game, but you tend to win a lot more in things. Those numbers are pretty fantastic. So yeah. So we're not talking about like, if you lose on this current trade, for example, that's like the 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 8.5 that is not gone the way it should have. So would not be put off by any significant, things like that. A lot of people tend to think short term, and I think people like Nate and other multimillionaire traders that have come to know tend to think longer term, tend to think monthly, yearly, even longer sometimes, rather than the first 3 days of a trade. You know,
I mean, so we all love it when we put a trade on and the next day we're taking profits. But you know, like I said, sometimes you just have to zoom out. Is the overall pattern still intact? You know, you have to consider what's happening. If the market were up 10% today, if the SPY was up 5%, right, and the trade that you're in is down 3%, well, you know, that's something that you need to pay attention to. But the indexes are getting killed today, so it's not a surprise that most names are also down. And we could just back up, just take a deep breath, zoom out, okay, and go from there. That's my biggest one of the biggest things that's helped me is don't look at five. If you take a chart or a trade based on a daily chart setup, you don't have any interest. It doesn't help you to look at a 5-minute chart after that, because all that's going to do is make you feel like you need to do something, when in fact, sitting on your hands when you have time is usually the best course of action.
All right, sounds good. Nate, this is becoming one of the most popular live streams I've had for a while in terms of questions. So I'm getting questions about all sorts of things, ranging from my new baby, which we had 4 or 5 months ago now,
yeah,
to broker statements. Have you reviewed the broker statements or Excel files? Martin's asking, have you reviewed the broker statements? No, I've done better than that. And I've told those people. So I know the people involved with, you know, that Nate's involved with, they do their due diligence far more than I ever could. So
yes,
and the reason I know that is I did an ad for a similar or subsidiary company. I did an ad for them, and they wanted all my broker statements. So, and that was just for a brief ad that I was just doing some little nonsense thing about. I don't even remember what it was. So if they did that to me, I have the utmost confidence they've run Nate through the ringer and like be like, you will show us before we put in our ads that you've made $2.7 million. So I have zero doubt that Nate has made $2.7 million trading these stocks. Otherwise, I wouldn't be promoting him as such, because you know, that'd be silly. So lots of people saying things like, can you see the questions? Do you have it open on different things? So maybe it's easier if you go through and pick out some of your ones.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see.
I'll answer some of mine.
How's your baby?
I know. The baby's good. She got sick, and then the whole family got sick, so we had to send her to the nannies to live for like 3 days, but she's coming back today, so that's good.
Oof. Yeah, my kids are sick too. It's that time of year.
Everybody is just trouble.
One of the questions was, is there a Discord chat? There's not a Discord chat, but in Profit Surge Trader, we have a room that is actually modeled after Discord. So you'll be able to see my stream, my screen. I'm just like this, I'm live, but I'm showing you my charts and marking them up and going over everything live in the chat. And then it's open for 1 hour a week, every Monday from 12 p.m. Eastern to 1 p.m. Eastern. And all the sessions are recorded. So if you have a meeting, or if you're out of town, or if you're driving or whatever, and you can't make it that day, and you want to catch up on what we talked about and what we went over, everything is recorded and then posted to the site within, you know, a few hours.
Yeah, exactly. So I did talk to the main publisher, your guys' stuff, and he did say a while ago, and I'm holding him to his word, that I could show this slightly outdated Profit Surge Trader thing. I've showed it to some of the guys. I'm just trying to switch screens right now. Let's see. So I just need to remove this and then put my thing back on. Stop screen share. And it's not super relevant, but
go ahead.
Yep.
Well, I was just going to say, while you're doing that, I just want to let everybody know, if you are a member of Profit Surge, and for those of you who are, we are having another trading blitz, which is an all-day trade all day. I'll be live all day. Has anybody in here been to one of our trading blitzes in the past? Like one of our one-day things where we just open up Profit Surge and I'm there live all day? Well, we're doing that again on February 8th, which is, I don't quote me on this. I believe it's next Thursday. My calendar is all messed up, but I believe it's next Thursday. We're doing that again, another all day long trading blitz for Profit Surge members. Just throwing that out there, letting you guys know. I'm excited. I'm sure many of you are excited. They're always a ton of fun. So anyway, go ahead. Sorry about that, Russell.
Oh yeah, it's no problem. It's just this was a slightly outdated. So when I first started with Profit Surge Trader, I wanted to see some results. So amazingly, you know, I emailed and they're like, "Here, this is like we have nothing to hide. Check it out. This is legally being vetted. This is, you know, our legal team is absolutely happy for you to put this out, and that means a lot. I mean, it might not sound like a lot, but it's a lot. Most places will not have a legal team sign off on, like, you know, a trade track record. So and so I've been showing people this, and you can see this is from the end of last year. Obviously we've had a month in between. It's been a good month up until like the last few days though. I mean, it's been great. And it's still an unrealized loss at the moment, so I'm not too worried. And so you can see that the best performing and maybe you actually be able to help a little bit with this because there was a little bit of confusion. So this month I think meant December of 2023, right? Probably, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And since inception is the number of trades since inception, and the number of winners was 31, number of winners 37, or sort of closed trades 37, 10% average return, 4 days held, and nearly an 85% success rate. It's gone up a little bit since this data, apparently. But one of the best months was this one with NVDA. But then we just had SMCI, which was an amazing trade as well. So that's not included in this data at all. So there is data out there, and you can talk to them. I think just call them up. And they can give you up-to-date data.
It's not something that is a closely guarded state secret or anything. I mean, we have no problem sharing the track record.
So a couple of testimonials and things here. So these are just friends of mine. They're acquaintances that I have in my Facebook group. Hopefully you can read some of these. But these are people who have joined recently saying that they've been winning 3 out of 3, 8 out of 8, just generally having a really good time trading Profit Surge Trader. So that is why I totally endorse it. And I know it's a small sample size. But it's still, people are enjoying the service, which is good. So
sweet,
yeah,
awesome.
So we get rid of that at the moment. So more questions. Keith's asking, please ask him to talk about DPL. Okay, so yeah, that's a good question. We have 20 minutes left. DPL is something I want to join. I haven't joined it yet, and so people keep asking me about it. You know, is it good? Should I do it? And like, I always join services and then review them. And DPL's just one I haven't got around to. I don't know if I can do it though, because it does sound like there's a lot of trades, and I can't really spend that much time taking them all. So it'd be interesting to get a brief introduction from you about DPL, and I can put a link for people to go check out more and stuff as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So DPL stands for Daily Profits Live. So that's kind of like my main service, my full service, if you will. I'm there every single day. I'm streaming live every single day. I'm on the mic. I'm scheduled to be on the mic every single day for about 9 hours over the course of the week. It usually ends up being, 12 to 15 hours live. I've got other professional traders in there. Nate G, who many of you probably know, D-Man, who many of you probably know, who are full-time traders themselves. And we're all sort of, I don't know how many people are in there on a daily basis, but several hundred, and we're all working together, talking together. It's the same chat room setup as we have in Profit Surge Trader, but it's all day, every day. And yeah, there are a fair amount of trades. Some days I'll make 5, 6, 7 trades in a single day. I'll do day trades. I'll do swing trades. I don't really scalp because it's just not. I don't know. Having a room with 800 people in it isn't the best. It's not the best way to do it. So I trade options on primarily large caps, a mid cap every now and then, but it's usually, we're trading Apple, we're trading Amazon, we're trading Microsoft, we're trading the big boys, and we're just trading options on these things. And it's me in there answering questions. So if you have a question, say, hey Nate, what do you think of this chart? I'll literally pull it up live, just like this. But you'll see my screen just like you just saw Russell's, and I'll go over the chart. We'll break it down. We'll look at it. But that's what DPL is. It's basically profit surge trader on steroids. It's fully fleshed out all day, every day. But it's very similar. But we trade different and more strategies. Yeah, not really any scalping, Sanjay. No, not really. I mean,
that's cool.
If I'm gonna trade for less than I bet you I've done maybe 2 trades since it started that have lasted less than 20 or 30 minutes. There's just not a lot of really fast. I do day trades, but usually they last a few hours.
Yeah, pretty good. Does DOG stand for? Sorry, I just wanted to remove this. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and look, if you join,
so
trader, you can experience what DPL is like next Thursday, because it's basically a day of DPL live in Profit Surge Trader.
Yeah, these guys do these open houses, which is really cool. So I do like that. If people can try them for free, or for low cost, and try them out. Keith's asking, will there ever be a monthly discount? Will there ever be a monthly subscription or a discount? I guess that's for DPL because it is a bit more expensive. That's really up to the marketing team and the whole team as a whole, right? Like
that's above my pay grade. Okay, I don't know.
What does DPL stand for? It stands for Daily Profits Live.
Daily Profits Live. Yeah. So we try to make money every day.
So Nate, are you trying to do your whole take a small amount back to a big amount again? Like, did you have a starting balance that you started I don't know, when you started back with the start of DPL?
Yeah.
Or are you just trading?
I'm really focused on,
because I guess is it like a challenge, or is it like not a challenge?
No, it's not really a challenge. It's I'm just trying to make money every day. And I'm trying to identify the best setups that will allow me to do that. And I found that the challenges and stuff, they're great for marketing, but as a serious trader, I just want to put myself in good setups over and over and over and over and over again. How much money do you need to get started with Profit Surge Trader?
Godatim is
I mean, $1,000, $2,000. I always recommend, when people ask me that, 2,000 is a great minimum starting balance, because then you can get a margin account, and then you're able to do spreads if you want to. It just gives you a little bit more flexibility with your account. But there really is no minimum. But if you start with less than $1,000, it's tough. Although you can participate in Profit Surge Trader with $1,000 account, because I'm not trading big option contracts. And usually, even when I'm doing them, I'm trading 1 or 2 contracts at a time in that service.
So this is a good question from Norman. There's something that did confuse me originally. Is Profit Surge Trader the same thing as one ticker payout? Yes.
Yes. Same thing.
It's the same thing, right? It's
same thing.
It's like a double brand. The idea is that there's one ticker for a month. It's an earnings winner, and you play it every week. But then there's bonus trades, so that confuses things a little bit. But one ticker payout is just the marketing part of Profit Surge Trader. People like one ticker, they do this thing, and so it's the same thing. I was a little confused about that too. So it's the same thing.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
So let's see. What about DPL? How much to start to trade? We've answered that, right? A couple of thousand usually would cover.
I would say, if you're brand new to trading, start with an amount that you're okay losing. To tell you that this is a very honest answer, do not put more money into your account than you are comfortable losing. And I mean, literally money that you can afford to lose all of it, because if you're brand new to trading, it doesn't matter if you join, it doesn't matter what service you lose, you are going to lose money because you have not had the experience of being in the market, and you cannot simulate those emotions. You know what I mean, Russell? It's like, it's impossible for anybody to start fresh with the expectation that they're not going to lose any money. So I'm just, again, being honest, but a couple $1,000, if you can, to get that margin account is a great starting place.
Definitely. Yeah. So at what point in your career did you decide that you suddenly, because I remember there was a story that you went on vacation or something and you realized that trading less was actually trading more. Was that a turning point in your kind of thought process?
I mean, I think a great analogy is like this. All right, imagine you're a surfer and you're trying to catch a wave, and you see a wave over there and you swim over there, and by the time you get there, it's gone. And you see a wave over there and you swim over there, and by the time you get there, it's gone. Instead of just waiting where you are and waiting for that wave to come to you. So I used to be the guy that was trying to ride every single wave, and it just didn't work. I was trying to be a small cap trader. I was trying to be a scalper. I was trying to trade options. I was trying to sell spreads. I was trying to do, scalps with large caps, but I was trying to ride too many waves. And once I sort of said, okay, let's back up. Let's figure out how to do one thing well. And then let's figure out how to get really good at that one thing. That's when things really started, improving for me. So yeah, less is more. Less really is more. You hear it all the time, but in trading, it is unequivocally true. I don't care who you talk to. If they're successful, they will tell you the same thing, that if you focus on fewer setups, if you focus on fewer names, if you focus on fewer ideas, and just really hone in and get good at doing just those few things, you will have more success than if you try to be all things to all people, so to speak.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So I'm just posting links to people to sign up for Profit Surge Trader. It's only $169 or $179. That's dropped dramatically over the last month and honestly, I don't know how that's sustainable. It's a fantastic deal for you guys. 2 or 3 great trades a week. Really good. So I'm pretty excited about being part of that. Awesome. I do need to sign up for DPL though. Need to definitely sign up for that and at least take some of the trades and review it so that people can see like all the cool stuff you're doing. But I'm just posting like a link to DPL. Danny has a question here. I don't know if you see it. It's about Fibonacci, whether you use it or not. Let's see.
I do. Yeah. I use Fibonacci in a lot of our trades. I use Fibonacci for retracements and for Fibonacci extension targets. So yeah, Danny, I mean, if you're into Fibonacci, I'm, fist bump. Not many people ask me about that, but it's amazing how powerful it is, right? Like it's like these hidden levels they're there for everybody to see, but most people are frankly too lazy or too intimidated to like learn it. But it's so powerful. It's really, really cool stuff. But yeah, we do that all the time.
Joseph saying, can you tell the ad team to obviously? All right, the ad team's watching, so I'm not going to tell them that.
There you go. Yeah, your message has been passed along. That's right.
Do you only take okay? So where are we at? So that's the yearly price. Yes, the yearly price. I've only been giving out yearly prices. They don't do quarterlies or anything like that. So everything's yearly. Let's see. Can you tell the ad team? Do you only? So one thing I do want to point out here is one thing I learned this week is Nate is not only an expert at what we're talking about, this core idea of the TPS, the trend, the pattern, and the squeeze. He's also an expert in other aspects of trading. So I don't know why I'm surprised about that, but I saw you do a trade on ELF recently, and you knew straight away what was going on, and boom, you made money on a day trade on ELF, and you understood the mechanics of what was going on there better than I do. And I'm not a particularly great trader, but like you knew that's not right. I'm going in, and boom, sure enough,
Yes.
people made money. So there's a lot more to than just this one strategy. Even though this is your core focus, there's more to Nate's ability and expertise than just that one. Several strategies combined. Sort of thing. So we're going to start wrapping up in the next 5 or 10 minutes. So you guys that want questions answered, let's just try and get them in before Nate has to go, and we'll see which ones we can answer. And let's have a look through what's happening here. Did you give us notice or an email? So I think you mentioned you were going to talk about the B trade tomorrow.
Yes.
Did you just as an update?
Yes.
Because I think that would help the service a little bit.
I have one open trade currently in Profit Surge Trader. It is down today. I mean, with the rest of the stock market, everything is down today. And I'll send an update out tomorrow morning.
Yeah, but that sounds great.
I'm still in it, and I'll I still like it a lot. Okay, there is absolutely nothing wrong, in my personal opinion, with that chart. It's just down with everything else today. So we've got a big day tomorrow with Apple, Amazon, and Meta after the close. We're in a strong bull market. Today's pullback, in my opinion, is a buying opportunity across the board and is healthy. We were at plus 380. Everywhere you look, is we're extended. We're pulling back. I'm sitting here with open arms saying, yes, sir. Thank you. Come on down. Right?
Yeah, it happened on the same trade a week ago to me. It just it dipped to the perfect uptrending support line, added immediate profits.
Right.
Like it was like I was excited. So I've done the same this week. Who knows? We may break down. I don't know. It might continue down. But that's just my thought process. And in a lot of ways, you're here to guide people, but they also have to make their own decisions as well. Like, depending on how much capital they've put in and like all the risk, like reward type stuff. So,
and I'll be honest, the people that are watching this now that are going to be successful a year from now are the people that are going to join the service and then take what I'm teaching them and make that trade or those trades or those ideas their own. It's not going to be the people that are going to be waiting on every, I can't do anything unless Nate's here. I can't do anything unless Nate tells me to. I'm trying to teach people how to fish. And for those of you who are already in Profit Surge Trader that know exactly what I mean, if you take this concept, you can apply it on your own. This stuff happens every single day. And those are the people that are really going to get the most out of the service, the people that want to improve.
Yeah, definitely. Ken's asking, are your stops based on the 195-minute bar? That was interesting because I asked you about this the other day. I'm like, why are you looking at 178 squeeze like time frames? And you're like, it's because of the number of minutes in a trading day is weird. So then I divide it, and I don't know if you can quickly comment on that.
So Ken, I set my stops based on the time frame that I take the trade against. So if I take the trade, if the setup appears on a daily chart, I will use a daily close for a stop. If I take the setup based on a 195-minute chart, I will take a 195-minute as a stop. Okay. So I don't do a lot of, I really pretty much only do day trades. I'm sorry, daily charts in Profit Surge Trader. But for example, in Daily Profits Live, I might play a 30-minute chart and we'll just identify it and say, hey, you know what? We're long here. And if it closes below this level, again, on that 30-minute time frame, that's our stop. Or we'll say, I'm long here and I'm buying $100 worth of this option. I don't have a stop, but we'll identify that for every trade.
Okay, well, we're getting down to the final few questions here. Just winding up. Maybe this could be the last question. How do you actually determine which companies to use? Well, that's the earnings stuff, right? Like that's for most of it.
Yeah, exactly. Like
so basically,
earning gap ups. Yeah, we just make a list. So every day I look for those earnings winners, and then I'll make a list. And as more and more companies beat earnings, my list will get longer.
Yeah. Well, I think we should probably start wrapping up there. We're getting lots of more questions, but this is open-ended, and I can barely breathe through my nose at the moment because I've got a cold. So we probably want to wrap it up there. But I really want to thank you very much for coming on, Nate, because it's just fantastic to have somebody of your caliber come on to the channel and help people out and talk to them. And if people have questions, you can always email either me. I can put my email, and I'll, or you could email the support at the at your guys' support. At the Profit Surge Trader support as well, or just leave comments on the channel. Like once this goes, once it stops being live, you can like add comments like underneath the description, and I can pass those on to Nate and things as well. So we can kind of try and go from there. But if you really want to improve your trading this year with minimal effort, and I really think this is important, if you only want to take 1 or 2 trades a week and just chill, like swing trades, I would definitely start up like for the Profit Surge Trader service. So I'm just going to put it link one more time: Profit Surge Trader. Again, I get a commission if you sign up for it. Let me see. But in all reality, these guys are losing out on money on the front end with this because it's such a low cost deal. It's an absolute steal for you guys at $179 for a whole year, 2 or 3 trades a week with guidance from Nate. So it's pretty cool. So we're going to finish on one final note, which is Tomas saying, "Love the service, Nate." And I think on that, I think we're going to call it a day, right? Seems good.
Sounds good.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for listening. Thank you for asking all your questions. And thank you very much, Nate, for being part of the live stream.
Absolutely. I enjoyed it. See you, everybody.
Sounds good.